morning. This is RochelleCamile. This is my husband, my honey, the person else who's my name, Tommy. I have to apologize for starting earlier than expected. However, I just want to welcome you today. I think nothing too much emotion. I just want to my husband thinks about business programs and how we make money in our relationship together. So, I'm going to say myself, I'm I'm the problem. Um, so today's more of a conversation. We're going to be kind of jump right in. And after you explain the other, I think maybe Tuesday, we're talking about our video and our comment. One thing that my husband and I I've learned is really particular is the art of negotiating a win-win. Matter of fact, I don't even like the word compromise. I call it a new agreement. I don't even like even in my professional life, I do not use the word compromise because it immediately makes people feel that you're giving up something. And why, if you're when you're both actually going for the same thing, have the same values, why do you have to feel like you're losing out if it's about the us, the group, and the legacies that come with being married? So that's one of the lessons I really gotten out of the last few years. What was one of the biggest lessons for you?
For us, growing together and being married together, was also learning to talk about our finances and everything else. Um, because in my head growing up, the man was always the head man, decisions, bread maker.
Mm.
The man had to be on point for everything. And that time the still is in my head. And I'm like, oh, I should be running point on this. And sometimes, I go to the store and I buy something, I come home and I'm like, why did you buy that? You didn't tell me you were buying that. In my head, I'm like, okay, yeah, make decisions. Now, part of our focus in growing our marriage is communicating over finances. So when I come home with that different brand of bacon that I didn't tell you about, and you're like, well, I don't like that bacon because that bacon doesn't make enough grease and it doesn't fry correctly. And I'm like, oh, oops.
That,
I couldn't find the other bacon, honey.
that's true. And just to give a bit of background, I was raised in a predominantly single mother household. And my mom was married a few times, and I saw finances kind of used as a ploy or a tool to get what one wanted. So my mom, she was the breadwinner. I saw that coming up, and like my husband, he comes from a more traditional background. So not only do we have this ethnic, cultural, racial differences, we have upbringing differences. And in a lot of his the people he grew up with in his family, they have a tradition of, I feel like it's a tradition of getting married or meeting at church or university or summer camp or something like that, saving up money, having babies, buying a house, having cars like within 3 to 5 years. And on my side, we didn't have that type of structure or expectation wasn't there, and I struggled with that, coupled with the fact of moving from the US to Canada and living on my husband's income because I couldn't work for the first year or so. I couldn't work if I so living on his income, which sustained him very well. But with my spending habits and his saving habits, we kind of clashed. but also we were over gifting to each other, which caused some issues. Um, so, and that's something we had to learn really quickly and to really self-assess how we wanted to manage, how did we want to communicate about finances. So, like total transparency, my husband and I, we have one checking account, two savings accounts, but we know within every account, like any account, even if they're in separate names, we are very transparent. We're very open about what's there, what's not there, navigating what we spent, everything. So that was important to me. And when we hit one of the early hard seasons, my husband really struggled with not having money saved and trying to keep our heads above water. But I was good at cash flow management, and he's good at saving. And I'm also good at finding ways to find money. So I like to spend, and I can find money. That's the bad combination when you have no discipline in how you navigate money. So, I mean, would you like to elaborate around that subject or that statement?
Um, so I grew up very stereotypical Dutch immigrants. So my mom knew how to sew. My mom would
Your mama's on
pickle stuff. She would store stuff for
roll
long
things.
periods of time. She would grow things. Also on another tangent. Um, just to quickly jump off what we were saying earlier, the traditional start, according to my grandmother's autobiography that she wrote, if you ever have a chance to read it, there are only very few copies in the world, but you ever have a chance to read it, the traditional start in there for a couple in my family is church youth group. It'd be church youth group, and then love, and then marriage, and then kids, house, car, going on from there. So that was always the traditional start. Was always you always found somebody in church youth group, which that is a trend that also continued in my family. Two of my older siblings met their respective spouses through their youth group. So, and then my other sister and myself, we decided to buck the trend. We're the new generation that has destroyed the trend, has stepped away from the tradition, and found people outside in the wide world that is not the tradition. But going back to
Yeah.
what we say, um, yeah, um, I like to be I like to be cheap because
We're gonna call it
there's a
frugal because cheap has a bad connotation.
I'm going to redeem that. We're going to redeem the word cheap.
Okay,
We're
all
going to
right.
redeem that. Frugal, yes. Frugal also comes with connotations. Frugal comes with the connotations of Scrooge. Scrooge McDuck.
Okay, all right, all right,
I
all right.
love you.
I love you too, but keep going.
So I like to say like do this, make make sure that I'm getting the best deal for my money and everything else. Now, when I had my own place, I did not shop at Dollarama or anything else. I could do lot more
Stringent,
stingier,
no stringent.
stringent,
There we go.
stingier.
Okay, keep going. Go ahead.
I could have done that a lot more. Um, yeah, I was very careful with my finances. To be honest, now looking back, I could have been a lot more careful. I did have slight bit of a shopping addiction.
Yes. This is one of many shopping addictions. So, if we ever know you, if we know you in real life, if you've ever been to our house in person, we have lots of books, lots of movies,
Not a
That
lot of movies.
not a lot of
The
movies.
movies that the movies have
Receded.
movies that are but unfortunately
A book edition.
we have a book addiction and we have 7 take a book, leave a book London libraries within 20-minute walking radius of our household. So draw the opposite.
Yeah. So
You could
this.
see the results.
So one thing we have to do, we have to actually find a way to come to an agreement about how we spend money on books. So before the Linden Libraries, we were purchasing books, right? But we still purchase a lot of
Not
books.
all the time. Not as much as
Rochelle
we
was
could.
purchased.
Yes, Rochelle was producing books.
Yes.
Yes, we had already
Yes.
too many books, and then he got the current job that he has. 3 days a week, he has access to other.
I know, but we're going to talk. Let's talk about navigating decision making. So early in our marriage, matter of fact, in the first few weeks of our marriage, we had to make a really big financial decision. When I when my husband and I got married, I had just immigrated. My mom had just passed, and we didn't realize how much was owed in back rent where my siblings were living. And we had to make a decision: do we use all of Thomas's savings or not? And my husband, I didn't realize how generous he was. He did not hesitate. He never hesitated. He never batted an eye. He said, "That's family. We take care of them. Let it go." So we did that. We don't regret it, but that was something about our value system that we had in common. We wanted to make sure we believed that regardless of what happened, God was going to take care of it. Regardless of the decisions, even if it was tight, even if it was hard, we believe that God was going to do it. So anytime someone does ask us for something, if it's within our means to do it, and we have the peace of God to do it, we will. We will. And we've had seasons where there was joblessness and understanding who was our source. Because I know today, a lot of a lot of men say that women are looking for financial stability, which is true. But one thing in this last year with me being unemployed for like 9 months, we went through my retirement. We went through like a lot of different things to be able to sustain the being out of work. And I was the breadwinner at that time before I became unemployed. At the time, I made roughly about 20 or 30 grand more than my husband. And not once did he blame me for losing my job and not finding a job. Not like there was none of that. But also, but I didn't look at him as he had to make the money. I looked at him, the money he made, as a resource that God is giving to sustain us. And I think a lot of times when as women we do get married and we're raised in precarious situations, we look at our spouse and say, "You're the person that's supposed to do it," but it's a we thing. It's a we decision. We all, as a couple, whatever decisions you make affect your spouse, and vice versa. So if I spend $500 on hair and my husband hasn't budgeted for something else and I didn't tell him, which has happened a couple times before, early in our marriage, it caused some friction. So our rule of thumb is we talk about every purchase, no matter how cheap it is. Like, and it's not about control and asking permission. It's just making sure that we are aligned in everything we do, which is a very spiritual concept because we're supposed to be aligned with God and constant communication.
Or
So,
we have an understanding.
yeah,
Like she understands that most days I'm gonna stop for a coffee and a donut. Mm, that's an understanding between us that at some point I'm gonna stop there and do that. But if they're in the certain, if we're, happens to be, like it's gonna be a little bit, someone's gonna be a little bit tight for whatever reason, I'll send her a quick text. if I can. Assuming, internet and the cell phone services are working with hashtag Rogers. Thank you very much.
No, it's called
Going back to the
hashtag Canada's
1980s.
problem.
Yeah, hashtag Canadian problems. That's it. Rogers too. We call it Rogers.
I know.
And it's all back to the 1980s. But I will send her a quick text and say, hey, can I grab coffee today? Yeah, sure, you can get coffee. But it's just, even though that coffee is going to cost us $1.83, like, to some people, you know what, it's going to be peanuts. To $2, really. So it makes, it makes all of it. But it's a little step.
For creating
Yeah,
transparency.
it's a really quick thing for transparency. Yeah, it's a good, it's a little step. How do you build a castle? You build it one brick at a time. How do you know it? You do it one bite at a time. So if you can do it, start doing it with the little things,
It
then
makes
it'll be, then you have, it's like building a muscle. It's like working out.
it gets
It
easier
gets easier
as
and
you do it.
better with repetition and with time. So yes, I know it's easy, to go with the big purchases because it's every once in a while and you can have a big discussion over it. But you know, it's easier to start with the smaller stuff and then just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
And like if you like one thing for us and how we work in our marriage, is that constant intentional humility. It's and even if we offend each other, even if the decision comes back as a no, it's not at this time, we it's not it's not to hurt your feelings. I'll be honest with you, when my husband first told me no, and I was so used to him telling me yes, it hurt it devastated me. And I'll give you a very clear example. I was coming to visit Thomas for the first time before we got married. And I wanted these $100 flip flops. And I was like, Thomas, would you buy these $100 flip flops for me? He was like, no. However, when you come visit me, you will not pay for nothing. I was like, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. I was like, okay, I take it back. So what happened was I did not have to worry about having spending money in Canada, which is a lot more than the $100 I was asking to spend on my flip flops. I still have those flip flops, really good flip flops, ergonomic. But anyway, it's just one of those things where you have to figure out what is important to you. Like when we want to buy something that's not a part of our budget, we have a conversation. Why is it needed? Are you going to actually use it? Um, is there like is this for work? If it's for work, we'll go ahead and make the purchase sooner because I get the money back. But if it's something for the home and it doesn't fit within a certain price range, we do tend to wait. Um, I use the example of getting a dog. It took us 5 years to decide on a dog to get a dog. I didn't want to get one because of the price. Thomas was like, I'm used to these prices. It's Canada. What else do you expect? But it took me a long time. So we didn't make a decision until I was ready. And when we made a decision that I was like, okay, I can do this, and then the pieces came together. If we're not on the same page, we don't make the decision unless we absolutely have to. And it depends on who is the subject matter expert. When it comes to food and things around the house, I'm that expert. But when there's other things, he's that expert. So when he alters ingredients at the grocery store, it affects because certain brands cook a certain way, and I'm looking at price per gram or price per whatever the unit is. He's looking at overall price.
I'm
And,
also okay. And all that makes it we tiny contract with all.
but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the price of the actual package and then doing all the calculations with me coming from the culinary background. Um, So like this is how we kind of make these decisions. Another thing that we do is we do a yearly financial reconciliation. So we get all of our expenditures, all our transactions, and it might hurt to do this because if you don't do it on a monthly basis, it does take a while. And we look at what money we spent in each area and find ways to cut back. I remember one year, I think it was year number three in our marriage, when I did our year four reconciliation, we saw that we spent like $21,000. I think it was 21. It was 18 or 19. It was between 18 and $20,000 on eating out, and that devastated. I'm like, what in the hell were we thinking? But the issue is, I was unstable. It wasn't him. I was stressed out at work. I did, like there were no habits for
Even
me
that eating out was a
to habit,
habit.
but it wasn't any healthy habits.
Yeah.
So we made when Transformation Church decided to do the 21 days of fasting, we decided we would start fasting, and we went like I think almost 9 months without eating out until we went to Texas, and then and we did save money. I made 10 grand less that year than a year prior, but due to us intentionally growing certain foods, um, cooking everything we could from scratch, we saved money. We lived on less, and that's possible. Even with inflation happening, everything that's happening, can you minimize and live a life of simplicity? And what like are you buying the name brand when you can get the cheaper one? Are you going to the farmers market? Are you using everything that you buy? Like you have to be introspective about what you're doing and why and the motivation. For me, eating out was this comfort thing because it took an hour to get the food to come, and we could have spent an hour, excuse me, cooking. Like that's real. Could you imagine you're sitting at the bar, oh, I don't want to cook because it's gonna take too long, but the food you want takes an hour, and the food that's in your house is gonna take you about 30 minutes to an hour to cook. That was a problem for me, and my husband being so gentle and like also being that accommodatable, he would let us do it. But now,
And
man,
that there would be there were times
he'd be like,
where I was like,
nah.
but we make this the cheap person in me, leaving that word, would be like, but we make this, we save the money, we do, we save that. Yes, it's wonderful to have Popeyes. Yes, I love having Popeyes,
Yes, yes,
but
whatever food is
whatever food Popeyes
to go to.
was generally one of our go-tos. So you have Popeyes for four thighs, two sides, and a drink. Can't go wrong. So but we would have that, and like mix the food that's right here. And I was looking at because I you go out and you go grocery shopping and get food, and then it would
Well,
sit in
waste
the
of
fridge
food,
and it
yeah.
would be wasted. And since I grew up, you didn't waste a whole lot, and you put your food waste, you put it in the compost bin, and you use that compost.
Mhm.
Check out your flat,
Put
to
on
grow
your
your
flour, yeah.
flowers, your vegetables, and everything else. And you're doing your best to be self-sufficient and sustaining, and being green and being stewards. That was very, there were definitely times in that season that I was
Right.
like, why we don't need to? But also at that time when we were doing that, I was commuting. I was bicycle commuting into work, 20 kilometers to work, 20 kilometers back from
For
work,
the
and my,
Americans, you gotta translate that into miles.
which is what I have you,
Oh, okay.
because
So
I don't know
for every
miles.
5 kilometers, there's 3 miles. So 20 kilometers one way is, I think it's 6 miles. Okay, no. 3 equals 5. So 5 divided by 4. 4, so it'd be um, 12 miles. About roughly 12 miles each way. We would
12 miles. Okay, there we go. Then I'm a loader in a driver. My job is very physical. I'm doing this in every weather imaginable, whether it be heat, rain, snow, wind, whatever. I'm doing that. And then I'm having to come home and
do
I'm
dinner because
tired and I'm gonna come home and I'm tired, but I also know that, food costs money. So that was also part of the struggle for me because I would come home and I would be tired from working out all day, but fixing a meal and whatever else is, I could sit
it's
there, make some
perfectly.
food, you kind of wind down a little bit, you want a podcast, you want some music, you some food, you sit and you watch TV. And
So
then, so my
this
wife would come home, and
I'm
cook
just trying
for
to
me,
summarize.
so,
The reason I want to summarize is basically it was a perfect storm of him working too much. When I worked, when Jim working a very hard job, me working a very stressful job, it just it was the perfect storm of bad decisions. And this is why I've always said the jobs you choose affect your family, so it should be a family decision. Like that, it has to be a family decision because it might become a family sacrifice. So including your children in the decision, your spouse, is not just about the money. It's about it's about what is the purpose in the direction that you're going as a family. So like in this past season of being unemployed, I really took that to heart because if I'm in a stressful situation, the habits and the lifestyle that I have developed over the last 2 or 3 years of exercising, eating better, changing the way I eat, like a lot of different things, being conscious about what I'm spending, not emotionally buying things, not emotionally eating, a lot of these other things that has changed in the last couple of years can go out the window. And that's something that was not, I didn't want. It, because that took a toll on my husband when I married because I was stressed out to the point I know how to function and take care of myself, which kind of perpetuated habits that I saw my mom have. So to me, it was normal. To my husband, it was unusual. And a lot of times we don't necessarily talk about how a lot of women talk about how the husband is changing and developing. But as women, we might not realize how much our husbands are waiting on us to change some of the things they've been praying and desiring. We can't assume that we go into marriage perfect. I already knew I was not the perfect wife. Matter of fact, when we first got married, I knew for a fact that my husband loved me before more than I loved him. I knew that for a fact, and I told him that, and he understood that. That didn't hurt him, but it's where I was because of a lot of things that were circling that season of our life. So my husband had to wait 4 or 5 years for me to go hiking and spend better and decide to live a healthy lifestyle and all these other things. Um, and even now, navigating me having another job, technically 3 jobs, and other financial and other commitments, I realize now as I make more money because now I make double of what he makes and everything else. Um, I have to be more intentional about how I spend the money, how I spend it, how I communicate with him about it. Because the more money you have, that means you got more money to spend. But how are you stewarding over that? So every time we get paid, the first thing I'm doing, I'm paying our tithes. I'm paying our tithes. We talk about which bills we're paying. We have a payment calendar which helps us manage our cash flow. It helps us to make decisions that are not a part of our budget. And since our savings and everything else is depleted, we don't have a savings at this moment. But we're working on getting back to that point of paying off debt, um, saving up money, making decisions, and we're right now still thinking about and praying through a decision, of two decisions. One, adding a dog to our family, and another one is, do we actually make the sacrifice to get a vehicle? We don't have one right now because it's been an intentional choice. It's been an intentional choice of not having one because the cost of the car itself, insurance, transportation, maintenance, and most of everything we do is local. Like our vet is two blocks away. Our store is about a third of a mile away. Um, Everything we do outside of me going to the office twice a week is within a 30-minute bus ride or walkable. So for our lifestyles, outside of going to things with our with Thomas's family or special events, we don't need a vehicle. But you have to understand what matters to you. I had to give up things. I can't go see my beautician. I've not seen her in months because it wasn't in the budget. And making those sacrifices, it was hard, but I understood. I understood the purpose. I understood our values. Our values is being a good steward of what we have. It is being the best examples, not the best examples, but be the best we can be with what we have. It is being tenderhearted and kind and towards each other and other people. What are some of the things that we kind of bonded over as we began to realize what we had in
Um, on,
common? One is a love of books. If we lose that.
um, we love to learn.
Yes.
We're we're um, learning a lot of nature, especially you.
Yes.
Um, because I was raised the way I was taught and whatever else and stuff that I've learned. There's a lot more appreciation for nature and sustainability and green living that comes through my upbringing and um, that you're learning to, especially when you started your own garden. It's just something that you learned from my mother.
Yes. Miss Mary.
Now, well, and you have now decided to really love your gardening, and you're starting to get into that. Um, yeah, just learning to appreciate nature, learning to appreciate the value that comes with physical exercise. Because before, I think you mentioned this before in an earlier podcast episode. When Rochelle first moved up here, me and my family, we decided that one day we'd like to go hike. We like to do one days off on the weekend and whatever else. And
I knew what a hike was.
You knew what a hike was.
Rochelle just didn't do it.
But Rochelle didn't do that. Why in the world would you go outside in the heat, in the weather, from your controlled environment, and you would go walk around in the dust and the dirt in what generally tends to be a very large circle for an hour or so, come back, jump in your car, controlled environment. Like, why in the world would you do that? You could spend your time inside catching up on Home and Garden Television or the Food Network or something else.
Yeah.
That was more, mentally stimulating. But why in the world would you do that? And then over time, uh, you started learning more about the benefits of walking, and you've been making those deliberate choices to
Yeah.
go out and start walking and doing that. And now you've created this whole community within our neighborhood. She
Yes.
walks into people's back. She has a friend on the street nearby that their friend that might not even be home, and she can walk right back to that friend's garden and then walk back out again. And she says hi to all the people and all the dogs on the street. And now that we have our own dog, she makes connections through there, and we make connections through there, and that network has developed,
Yeah.
and
So
that helps with that. Also, that stems from the exercise, walking
yeah,
you were doing.
but just to sum that up, Rochelle has changed a lot, and a lot of the values that I have came from doing things that I knew God was calling me to that I didn't understand. A lot of times we don't understand this in new environments. It is to expose us to a different perspective and to challenge us to become more calling us to be. Like who I am now is not who I was 5, 6 years ago in Texas. And the way the weather is in Texas is highly the heat is just downright rude. Where I am, it doesn't get as hot. And so like that makes sense. Like the fact that I will go apple picking or fruit picking to get stuff cheaper. And then I will can it and make jams and sauces and stocks to further the money and stuff that we have. Like for me, sustainability and being wise is very important. Very, very, very important. And if you're wondering, like, what does our communications look like? It is really a lot of it is understanding one, we're very being very transparent. Two, we have expectations. We don't say anything rude. We never say anything rude or disrespectful. Now there might be some truth that come out that hurt, but we're always questioning each other. Why, why, why? Like we're getting to the root, and if we got to go pray and think about it, that's different. But like everything is questioning our intent and our motivation. And a lot of times we don't realize how much that motivation matters until we see the results or the fruit of it. And the one thing I'm gonna tell you, and you're wondering, how do I start? How do I start? You start where you are. It's not where you start, as long as you have started. So whether you begin to save $1, $2, or you begin to talk to your spouse about what you're spending, why you're spending what you're spending, and asking for joint accountability. We have people we talk to about our finances. One of the pastors that we know is a banker. One of the that's important to us. So we might talk to them. We might talk to Thomas's parents. We might talk to somebody else about how to get better. Um how can we move forward? How can we do things that is how to get where to where we were wanting to get to. That's the point. So like if you have any comments or questions, at any time you watch, please respond and we will gladly talk to you. We will have a moment of prayer. But like I said, once again, um, just know that God is your source. God is your source. And one of my favorite verses is actually, hold this is something we use to fast about our finances and every decision that we do. One second, let me find it. We were looking at it this morning. Um, it's Philippians chapter 1, and we can start at verse 27. It says, above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves worthy yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. Then, whether I come and see you again or only hear about you, I know that you are standing together with one spirit, one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news. Don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. This is a sign to them that they are going to be destroyed, but that you are going to be saved, even by God Himself. And I want you to understand when you come together, it is things are going to happen. But as long as you are unified with one purpose, and for all of us, we all have the same purpose. That is to worship God. That is to be a life submitted totally to God. And as long as you do that and have common values, things are going to come up, but you will come over them. You will overcome them. So begin to walk in unity with your spouse and have the open and real conversation. Have the challenges. Get accountable. Whatever you need, do that. Do that. Okay. So we're going to end in prayer, honey. Would you like to pray, or would you like me to
I would say,
pray? No.
how do you
Oh, you like keeping me on my toes.
know?
Yeah, we'll do some boxing later. We were
I
done
know, I
anyway.
don't
Oh.
know.
Oh, my bad. I didn't get that. Thank you. Oh, I thought you wanted to do some boxing exercises.
Lord, thank you, Ariel, to make this podcast episode today. Please be with us in everything that we do. Those who are listening, if you're bringing wisdom, light, joy to them, and everything that they do, finances, and money, Lord. Lord, there's so many scriptures in the Bible that deal with money and finances, Lord. So you knew it was going to be an issue for us even before you even created us, Lord. Guide us, lead us, and grant us traveling mercies throughout this day, Lord, and bless us now as we go about your word. Guide us, lead us, watch over us, all these things. In Jesus' name we ask all everything. Amen.
um, I just want to add to that. I pray that God will give you wisdom in your situation, and that He will open the windows of heaven, that He will bring people that will partner with you to help you to get to the things He has put in you to do. I pray that resources come from the north, south, east, and west, and that people will give unto your bosom. But not only that, that you will walk into opportunities that God has set before you, and that you will walk with wisdom into those places. I pray that you will see that God is sustaining you, even if it's by a raven in itself. He has you. Everything you need, you have. Everything you need. And if it's not there, it's on its way. So remember here, you are loved, you are seen, you are valued, you are heard. You are in the palms of the hands of Jesus. And not only that, that myself, my husband, and Kathy B, along with Jesus, is praying for you that your faith fails not, and and that your mind, the things that you have imagined, that Jesus will blow your mind. So hold on. We love you. We will see you next week with another episode. Have a great day.